Hello, it's Judith here. Today I want to talk about avoidance. That's not avoiding somebody that you see in the street because you don't want to talk to them. Not that I ever do that, of course. It's about avoiding what is going on in here. As human beings, as mammals, we naturally want to move away from pain. So, if you put your hand on something hot, you're immediately going to lift it away because that's the sensible thing to do. For physical pain, for what is going on here, the thoughts, the feelings that are uncomfortable, unpleasant, painful, it doesn't work avoiding them. If you try really hard to push them away and fight them, they will fight back. And if you just spend your life trying to avoid them, they will also keep coming back. And this means that illnesses like anxiety, stress, depression tend to get worse without treatment, not better. They don't naturally just go away. As I say, it's a natural instinct, and so we're not necessarily aware what we're doing. But the long-term risk is that we get into some very unhealthy habits. The habit of just pretending that those feelings are not there, telling yourself and pretending to the world that everything is okay. When I experienced anxiety, I got to a stage where it felt every day as if I was A, struggling to get out of bed and get on with the day, and B, just putting on a mask, a front, so that as far as everybody else was concerned, things were fine. And that meant for me that things were fine, although of course they weren't. And you can only do that for so long because it is absolutely exhausting. And the problem is, if you get really good at that, and I have seen clients who've kept it up for 20 odd years, it becomes harder and harder to admit that things aren't right, that there is something wrong, and that is an illness. It's no different to having pneumonia or a heart attack or whatever. It becomes harder and harder to admit that, and therefore what tends to happen is you get to break point. What in the old days used to be called a nervous breakdown, when you just suddenly can't continue. We tend to think when we're suffering, particularly from anxiety and stress, that if we admit how bad it is, then the world is going to come down on top of us and we just won't be able to cope. We'll just fall to pieces and collapse in a heap. And actually the reverse is true. If we admit that there is a problem and start to think about taking action and actually taking action, then the world doesn't fall on us. We don't collapse in a heap. We actually start to feel better. I regularly hear from clients with anxiety that, having had a chat with me on the phone, which is an exploratory call for both of us, I'm finding out what their issues are and telling them about what I can do to help them. So it's not, apart from the fact that I'm listening to them, which is important, it's not specifically therapy. But what I find is they tell me what's going on, and often, more times than not, when they eventually contact me, they are in a state of crisis. So what's going on is pretty unpleasant. And then when I see them in the first session, and obviously ask them fairly early on in the session how they're feeling, frequently, more often than not, as I said, I get the answer, well, actually, I'm feeling a bit better. Since I decided that enough was enough, it was time to accept that I was unwell and I needed to do something about getting better. And taking the action, contacting you, having a chat with you on the phone has actually helped. And that is hugely important. Just deciding that you need help and doing something is a big, big step towards getting better. It's also a very difficult step, which is why people just carry on avoiding and coping and dragging themselves out of bed every day and just pretending everything's fine. As I say, putting on that mask. And that is exhausting. So it's time to take your life back. It is time to do something. If this resonates with you in any way, it's time to take action. And it's time to start feeling better and enjoying your life again. And it doesn't have to be me. I'd be delighted if it was, but decide who you want to work with. And as I say, get your life back. Get the fun, the pleasure, the enjoyment back. Sooner than you think, actually. So, as always, until I see you next time, take care of yourself. And if you are in that avoiding state, take some action before you get to the collapsed state where you just can't get out of bed in the morning. And very happy, as always, to talk to anybody who just wants to find out what can be done to help them. Okay then, take care and see you next time. Bye.